Welcome to TOEFL Tuesdays. I'm Lucas from Magoosh, and today we're going to talk about some TOEFL vocabulary. And specifically, we're going to talk about bird words. Now, the TOEFL loves to talk about animals. I wouldn't say that the TOEFL loves birds in specific, but they definitely appear often. The TOEFL likes to talk about animals, specifically animal behavior, because there's a lot of material from the animal kingdom that the TOEFL can talk about that most people don't know. The TOEFL reading and listening is often something that you don't know much information about. If you already know the information, then it's not a good test of English, is it? So, animal behavior will almost definitely be on your TOEFL on test day. It will either be in the reading or the listening or maybe both. And in a passage on animal behavior, you might see birds and you might see these words. The first word is like the king of bird words. It is avian. It just means about birds or related to birds. However, it's not very common. You would not normally use the word avian to say, I like avian pets, for example. No, you would say, I like birds. It's only used in scientific language and for sort of specific things. For example, the avian flu is something that many people in the US especially were talking about a lot and were very scared of a few years ago and still today sometimes. And of course, a flu is a disease like a cold, but much worse. That gives you a fever as well and sometimes makes you vomit, throw up. Anyways, flu, the avian flu is a flu that was carried by birds. And we talk about avian viruses as well, as a more general thing. So you might see a sentence on your TOEFL about avian viruses, for instance. That is, viruses for or of birds. Let's move on and get something a little bit more specific. Avian just means about birds. This word is about some specific birds. It's not all birds. It's just some birds. Migrate. This is a great TOEFL word. Migrate is a way of moving. It is moving from one place to live in another place. And who migrates? Well, animals, people, birds, any living, moving creatures can migrate. But specifically, birds migrate often because they fly in the winter to warmer places. And there is an adjective from this verb, migrate. There is the adjective migratory. And sometimes you hear about migratory birds. That is, birds that live in cold places and during the winter fly to warmer places. Next, and our final word for today, is fledgling. This is another good word for general application that you can use to talk about things other than birds. But this one really has its roots in birds. Literally, a fledgling is a bird that is just learning to fly. So it is a young bird that is just trying to leave the nest and fly away. Figuratively, metaphorically, fledgling can be an adjective that's used to describe new businesses, new people who are new at a certain skill. For example, let's say there is a new government of a country. You could call it a fledgling government. That is, if it is the first democracy in a country, it is a fledgling democracy. You could also say that a new business is a fledgling business. It's just learning learning how to fly, how to move, how to be. So, of those three words, I would say probably the most common is migrate, if you're interested. That's a great word. The most interesting for general application is Fledgling, and the one that's most about birds is Avian. That's all for today. Thanks!